Hi and welcome. I'm Colin Daniel from riffninja.com, and I'd like to give you a little sneak peek of what you'll find in my course, The Ultimate Blues Stage 3, all about rhythms and chords. And although I'm focusing more on blues, today's lesson isn't like really a blues song, but it certainly is related to all the things we've talked about in the prior lessons, and is very related to blues because, of course, John Fogerty from CCR, who's one of my favorite guitar players, is the inspiration for this lesson. The inspiration is for the song Up Around the Bend, and Mr. Fogerty is an awesome guitar player, and he plays some really nasty blues too. And I think all of rock and roll is somewhat blues, so if you study the blues, your rock and roll will only get better. And like I said, this is inspired from Up Around the Bend. And we're going to take a look at a triad arpeggio, which is a three-note chord. A chord has to have at least three different notes in it to be a chord. And here's the deal. In the verse of Up Around the Bend, it uses this double stop pattern that I've talked about before with the major sixth and the perfect fifth, right? Here's your perfect fifth. This is your power chord. And then here's the major sixth. And then you combine them to create a rhythm pattern. And in the verse, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The chorus goes. So the verse is based on a D and an A change. Here's my D. Here's my A. And then the chorus is based on G, D, and A. And you can play them open too. But when you get to this part, you can play the D and the A open. You can play it here. And the A open. You couldn't play the G open. That's your choice on whether you play it like in an A position here and a D position here, or a D and an A here. But my point to it is not so much the verse chords and the chorus chords, but the reason why he starts the song with this really famous intro riff based on triads. It's because the verse is based on a D and an A change. Right here. Like, I'm sure you're familiar with this chord, the F chord. If you're not, you really should know this. This is F, this is G, this is A. It's a bar chord, right? When we move it up to the 10th fret, it becomes a D. Now what we're going to do to make it simple, because I could dig into a lot of theory and explain it to you more, but I'm kind of limited with my time here, and I don't want to go off the deep end. I want to actually teach you something you can play. But the truth is that it's still a chord. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the 6th, 5th, 4th string and keep the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string out of the chord. So our finger pattern looks different, but it's really technically the same chord. It's a D major. This is a basic triad, a D major triad. 3-note chord. You have to have 3 different notes to be considered a chord. This interval boogie-woogie pattern here is not a chord. We're only playing 2 notes at a time. It's an interval, dyad, double stop, but it's not a chord. This is a chord. This is a D major root 1. There's my D at the 10th fret. I bar the 1st and 2nd strings at the 10th fret, and then my 2nd finger gets the 3rd string at the 11th fret. Now what happens is Mr. Fogerty uses a D change which is at the barred at the 10th fret, like I am right now. And then he goes to an A, which is barred at the 5th fret. And those are the two changes that we start with once we get into the verse. So this is the theme of the song, right? And this is very cool. Now there's a slide to get this going, and you use your second finger because you want to set yourself up so that your second finger lands on the 11th fret, 3rd string, right? So I don't really care where you slide from, at least slide a couple frets, but it's important that your timing, so this, when you slide up, that you slide to the right note and you stay there, and that note you're sliding to, which is technically an F sharp at the 11th fret, 3rd string, is in time. So that's the first thing you need to do. You got to use your second finger because you want to drop your first finger down underneath it and catch the other two strings for the chord arpeggio. Arpeggio? What's that? Arpeggio. Oh, that's the notes out of a chord, right? When you're picking the notes out of a chord and letting them ring, that's an arpeggio. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a chord arpeggio with this, right? Okay, so we're going to slide up with our second finger on the 3rd string, and we're going to get to the 11th fret, 3rd string, and then we're going to drop our first finger down. And after that, we're going to do this picking pattern. Now we're going to strike the D bass note before we even slide up, because that's the root, right? So he strikes an open D bass note on the 4th string, slides up while the D bass note is ringing. So it goes. Now, as you lay down your first finger, you pluck up. So you go. It's a very cool move, right? So you got to pick the slide down. Then your first and second strings you got to pick up. Then back to the 3rd string for a down pick and one more up pick on the 2nd string, and that's your picking pattern. Now the trick is to let that D ring out if you want the full effect. Your open D. Isn't that cool? So watch your slide. You got to make sure you end on the 11th fret. If you don't, you're going to botch it, just like I did a second ago. So you strike the D open, hit the string on the 3rd string with your second finger, and you slide up and you let the note ring like. Then you pluck the 1st string and the 2nd string up, then down on the 3rd string and up on the 2nd. Now you go to the A and do exactly the same thing. Same pattern too, just at the 5th fret. Now we strike the open A. Back to the D. Don't forget to hit the D bass, open bass string, right, when you're doing that. So all together now. Aren't those cool? Man, I love that. That's a very cool intro and a very cool guitar riff. Hope you've enjoyed it. And you know, if you really want to take your guitar playing to the next level, you should check out riffninja.com/stage3. Thanks a lot for your time. Hope to see you again. Take care.